Welcome to Mimi on the Move. I'm Mimi. I'm usually on the move, but today I'm staying put. I had some friends coming to visit me today. I'm camping right now. And they said, oh, we'll come up and visit you. I thought, great. Haven't seen them for a while. If you've been watching my channel, you've heard me mention my longtime friends, Yvonne and her husband, Sherman. And they were coming to see me today. So I cleaned house, right? That's what we do when we're getting company. We clean house, whether it needs it or not. Anyways, I just got a call from Yvonne and I thought, oh, she's here already. She's a bit early, but that's great. No. She calls me and she was quite serious. And she said, we have a fire. What? Like in the house? Like in the forest? What? In the forest. And it's about a block from where we live. And I'm thinking, this is not good. And they could have come another direction, but they have to leave their dog at home. And if the fire is about a block, even if it was a kilometer from their home, and the wind changed direction, and they are an hour at least away from home, an hour and a half maybe, they can't get home to their dog. And they couldn't bring their dog with them. So it just didn't work out today, but I'm disappointed to not see them. Of course I am, but I'm not disappointed inside myself, like, because they're not coming, because the reason they're not coming is like completely real and serious. So they should be packing up a few things as I'm speaking and making a bag or a box or two for an emergency leave the house type of thing, because the fire is very close to them. And then, as they learned from this fire, now they have a second fire in their same area, but it's not in the forest. It's kind of in the city-ish, sort of in the city, sort of. Anyways, that's too bad. So I thought, well, I'm not visiting with my friends today, so what am I going to do? Last night I finished doing the video on a new song, so I got that all uploaded and last night, and I'm just thinking, well, I've been in a songwriting thing for several months now. I'm not sure what that's about. I've always written. I love writing. I love creating things in my head. I love creating a story in my head and then making a song about that story. And then I think of what kind of music should I use for that song, and so on and so forth. It's quite a procedure. But anyways, I don't want to do another song today because I have too much inside of me right now. I've got so much going on inside of me that's good, and I don't know which thing to pick. So my visit with my friends today was going to be me not having to choose what to do with my head creations. But now I'm back to that because they're not coming. So yeah, and I've got a whole bunch of random thoughts. So why don't I do random thoughts today? Okay, so I was thinking about relationships, and the last couple of songs of mine have been on nature and relationships and that sort of thing, and I always come back to the same thought about relationships and humans and animals. This rule applies whether it's a relationship issue or a instinctive issue like danger. You know how we teach our children stranger danger and that sort of thing. We have to teach our children because we don't have it innately to just know. Our children don't know if it's a stranger because they trust pretty much everybody unless we teach them not to trust. And that's kind of sad too, teaching your children not to trust. But we do live in a strange world now, so you have to have discernment now. We have to teach our children discernment, I think. But I was getting back to animals. Why are they so successful with not having strokes and coronary heart attacks and, anxiety and all of that? I think it's because they don't overthink anything. They are in the moment, every moment. They don't think in the past. They don't live in the past. They don't think ahead. They think right now. And I like that. I've actually been living that way for nearly 100% for the last year. Prior to a year ago, it was in, bits and pieces, farts and starts, that sort of thing. I was dabbling around with truly living in the moment. Lots of times we think we're living in the moment, but we're not. We're actually thinking ahead or thinking backwards. Thinking backwards or living in the past, what does that do for anybody? I mean, other than maybe learning a lesson and carrying that lesson into your future, but actually living the experience in the past, I don't know if that does a lot. It's okay to talk. I think it's okay to talk about the past because it's a conversation. But to live the feelings of the past, especially if they're not good, can be a problem in people's current lives. So animals are pretty cool because they just don't do that. No matter what has happened to them, they don't live in the past. If they've had traumatic experiences, they might have a trigger. They won't understand the trigger, but it will be a natural trigger, and good or bad. But they don't live in the past. There's quite a difference between being reactive to something from our past, being reactive in the moment from something that happened in the past, being reactive that way. I understand that. I know there's a lot of talk about healing and healing from trauma. I honestly, truly believe that the best way to heal from trauma is to acknowledge that it happened, accept that it happened. You don't have to accept why it happened, but you can accept it did happen. And then go through the motions of, okay, that happened. How was I affected by that? Right? And then you get to learn if you were affected in a way that hinders your current state of living or your future state of living. Like for me, there's an area that I've never, let's say, healed from. I mean, I don't probably intend to at this stage of my life. I can accept that. But when you go through, let me just talk about myself. I go through a traumatic experience. Hearing and watching another human being, somebody you love, hearing the sound of a high-speed vehicle hit the human body as it's walking, seeing that body in the air, crossing over lanes of highway in the air, landing on the highway, leaves its mark. I don't believe I've been able to have a proper relationship since that day in 1981, because I do carry this safety measure, I call it, that says I could never experience that again and survive it mentally. Now that I've done it once, I don't think I could do it a second time, and it's a risk too big for me to take. The enormosity, is that a word? The enormousness, you know what I'm trying to say, of that moment, and it was a moment in time, has stayed with me for my lifetime. I don't suffer from it anymore in any visible way. I don't live in that moment. I know it happened. So here's what I'm trying to say. I acknowledge that it happened. I accept that it happened. Of course, I've always wondered why it had to happen, but I'll never get that answer, so I let that go pretty much. Yeah, I can honestly say I've let that go. But I don't think I ever quite recovered from being able to be courageous enough to take that kind of chance again. And I always used to say it's going to take one hell of a man to be able to make me trust that he's not going to die in front of me. Because I know, you know, he knows, whoever this strange new man is that there isn't one of, he would never, I don't think he could ever convince me he's not going to die in front of me because we don't have future vision to know if he's going to or not going to. So that's a risk for me that's too big to take. And I'm not really making light of it. It is a very serious issue. Recovering from trauma is a very serious issue. So for me, I'd like to take lessons from the animals, getting back to those guys again. It happened. I dealt with it the best I could. Moved on. That's it. Try to live in the moment. No. I used to try to live in the moment. Now, I'm living in the moment. So because I've been doing that quite seriously for the past year, who knows what could ever happen now? Because I'm not worried about the future and I'm not living in the past. So here I am. Here I am in my 24-foot house, 8 feet wide. I don't know how to figure out square feet of that. Let me just see. Do you just multiply it? Is that what you do? Am I in 192 square feet? I don't know. Is that how that works? I don't know. It sounds like I don't have quite that much square feet. That's quite a bit of square footage. Anyways, it doesn't matter because I am happy as they say, I'm happy as pigs in shit. I'm just like, I'm really happy here. This is my place I need to be. This is my world right now. And I love it. I love it. I'm safe here. I have Mr. Who's Right. How do I do this? There he is, laying in his little spot beside my bed. He has a wooden thing he lays on beside my bed. Yeah, so that was one thing I was thinking of. And then I was thinking about another thing. Political correctness. If anything's going to make me laugh, it's those two words. Our world has been inundated with being this political correct person. But I don't understand why. Have we become so sensitive, so thin-skinned, that we can't watch All in the Family and not be offended? My good Lord, that was one of the funniest sitcoms ever. And they had some serious moments too. It wasn't always funny. They had some, but the point of that show, I think, was that it was real. And if anybody ever lived in the moment, it was Archie Bunker. And it showed all sides. It showed all signs of religions. It showed all sides of politics. It showed all signs of everything real. And now we're not allowed to talk about some things that are real because we might hurt somebody's feelings. Well, I've been taught, if you've ever actually been to counseling or anything, you're going to be taught that you're not responsible for how people feel about what you think or say. They are responsible. Let me put it another way. If you say something to me and my feelings become hurt, that's on me, not on you. How I take what you say is up to me. So you can't hurt my feelings by being what people call politically incorrect. You can't hurt my feelings because I'm responsible for those feelings, not you. So that's why I don't understand why the majority of our population feels they need to be politically correct. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we should go out there and slag people and talk mean and all that. That's not what we're talking about here. That is not this conversation. This conversation, go watch one episode of Archie Bunker. Then you'll know what this conversation is about. Because if you don't know what I'm talking about, then you have definitely been raised to believe that you need to be politically correct. Okay. I'm not. And I actually am okay with that because that makes me real. If I start monitoring everything I say in case it might hurt 10 people in front of me's feelings in different ways, or if I'm with 10 people and I think it might hurt one person's feeling, and so I don't say it because of that one person, that makes that one person extremely powerful. None of us have that right to be so powerful on how another person speaks. If we use good judgment on what we speak, and we don't intentionally want to hurt anybody, I just think we should say things as we feel fit, because our intention is what's the important thing. Of course, we also have said things that I've said things I realized afterwards, oh my God, that might have hurt somebody's feelings. That's not called being not politically correct. That's calling me speaking out of turn. And I will acknowledge and apologize to that person and say, I'm really sorry. I think what I said might have hurt your feeling. Even though you're responsible for your feeling, I kind of, it was my mistake. And then what would be really great is that person said, no, don't worry about it. It doesn't bother me at all. I'm okay with that. It didn't hurt my feelings. This is a very complex subject. And I don't think a lot of people think about it. I think what most people think about is what's politically correct and what isn't. We don't want to use words that are insulting to somebody. Of course not. None of us should want to do that. Okay? We don't ever really want to insult people. Hopefully we want to make people feel good when they're around us. A very wise man once said to me, when you're, dead and gone from here, the one thing that people will remember about you is how they felt when they were in your company. I think that's really wise, because they don't really remember how many pairs of shoes you had, what car you drove. I mean, they might remember it, but that's not the biggest memory they're going to have of you. Their biggest memory, according to my friend, and I agree, is how did they feel when they were with me? I think that's really important. It's just like animals. They usually don't want you to feel badly when, I'm talking about domesticated animals. The wild animals might eat us, but we're not talking about them. We're talking about our domesticated animals. Well, maybe we're just talking about dogs. Dogs want to please us. And sadly, if a dog has been abused, most times that dog is willing to bounce back and trust the next person again. Dogs get a rough time sometimes. There's no doubt about it, from some cruel human beings. Cats, on the other hand, you can't hurt their feelings because they don't care. My cat doesn't care about my feelings. And that's okay, because I accept that he doesn't. So I never worry about it. All right, so political correctness, what is it? It's you not speaking normally, like what's in your head. And I don't mean speaking bad. Speaking bad isn't about political correctness. That's just because you're a jerk. But I mean, you know what I mean. It means that worrying about what every single person in the room is going to feel about something you have to say. And if you say it with respect, and you're still worried about what you're going to say, because somebody's feelings might get hurt, they're in control of you. There's just no other way to put that. And if you like being controlled, it'll work for you. Be politically correct if you like being controlled. I don't like being controlled, but there are people that do like other people to be in control of them. Then when somebody else is in control of you, guess what? You're not accountable for yourself in your own mind, because they control you. So how then can you be accountable for yourself when you allow somebody else to control you? You're not. That's really, like I said, it's complicated, right? So many thoughts about it. So political correctness is that. Not being yourself, in case somebody out there doesn't like it. And why is it? Why do we have political correctness? My goodness, that's a huge question. Why do we have it? I imagine there's more than one reason. I don't think the average person started the trend of being politically correct. I don't think so. I think it's bigger than that. I think it's a method of controlling. Oh, this is not going to come out well. I think when you're taught to be a certain way, then, and you grew up and you believe that, then you teach that to your children and them to theirs. You have now got a world of people not willing to stand up for something because they're afraid it might hurt somebody's feelings. What is that old saying? If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And that's what mass political correctness does to our society, to our world. It creates just that. Look how many people won't stand up for anything because they're afraid of how they will be judged. Then there's people like me who do nothing but get themselves in caca because I stand for things, and I'm not afraid to say so. I don't expect anybody to agree with me. I respect other people's thoughts of what they stand for. I respect that completely, and I love having conversations where they're different, where we stand up for different things. I like that. But I've been, let's say, judged pretty heavily for having my own thoughts and not being afraid to speak them. And trust me, I'm not one to go out there and be vulgar and rude when I speak my thoughts. I am respectful of other people. And I don't bring anger to the table if people don't think my way. There's no anger. Why would there be anger because we think differently? Oh my goodness sakes, there's no room for it. I think people, and I'm going to say this without being a medicine person because I'm just a lay person with my own thoughts, but senior moment, the thought disappeared. Oh, it might come back. It might come back. Oh, I hate that. Don't you hate that? Okay, all right, okay. Anyways, let's go back to All in the Family for a moment. Did we not love that show? It was seriously one of the most popular shows ever. It even had spin-offs of different other shows, the Jeffersons and stuff like that. But it was just such a good family show because it showed the real stuff. The stuff that went on in your home. It showed in their home. And that was the same with the Roseanne Barr show when she was in it. It changed after she wasn't in it, but that Roseanne Barr show with her family and the dynamics in that family, oh my God. It was real. It was so real. Completely not politically correct, nor was All in the Family. But it was real. Both of those shows, you had a good laugh most of the time on those shows. The writing was second to none. The reality of life was spot on both of those TV series. And they were meant for families. Families could watch those shows and relate. Look at the stuff we have on now. Oh my God. I can't relate to most of the stuff. I don't even watch, to be honest, I have a television, but you know what I watch? YouTube, and then I'll pick up the odd series I hear about or want to watch on Netflix. That's the only two things I have on my television. I have nothing else. Because most shows now you watch have undertones of political correctness, politics in general, which I don't like to get involved in politics at all. I don't think there's any one party that's really good. I don't think there's any one party that's really bad. And the same with the people that are representatives of those parties. I don't think all of them are all bad or all good. In fact, you can take all kinds of, you can have 5 different political parties, and I can find a little bit in each one that I might like. And I can find a little bit in each one that I don't like. So I can't be stuck with one political party. It's just like religion. All these churches, all these different religions, and I guess they're designed for how people interpret the books of the Bible. But there's no right or wrong one of any of those either, in my opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own feelings, thoughts, beliefs. Everybody. And the differences are enormous between some of those things. But it's all good to me. It's all good. It makes for an interesting world. Unfortunately, somehow we have come to a place where the people without their own thoughts have been influenced to become enraged if they don't have other people think the same way as them. They think that it's awful. if you don't think the same way. And they carry this rage around with them. You see it everywhere, in a grocery store, in a parking lot. The rage is out there. Never used to be like that. There never used to be that rage. You got to stop, folks, and ask yourself, what the hell? Where does this rage come from? Oh my goodness. Didn't your grannies and God and everybody tell you to love thy neighbor? It doesn't matter what your neighbor believes or thinks, does it? I mean, they can think differently from you. You can still care about them. You can still respect them because they have a thought. How many people don't have thoughts? They rely on other people's thoughts to form their own belief system. I'd rather have my own thoughts. Right or wrong, pretty or ugly, I will own my thoughts. And I'll only share them if I'm asked to. I don't try to put my thoughts on other people and make them think my way. That's just not right. You know, I got to my way of thinking by doing all kinds of learning and research on subject matters that interested me. And then I was able to form my own thought process and opinions. I've been noticing in the last while that a lot of people don't rely on their own research to form their own thought process. I remember when I had a TV a couple years ago, and I watched a TV, and just for shits and giggles, on the news time, I would flip from one news network to another, to another, to another, and guess what? Every single news station had exactly the same talking point, and they used the exact same words, almost as if it was written for them. I remember a day when the news people did their own research and they reported to us on the findings of their research. This doesn't happen anymore. The news networks now, they're given a script. That's why you're getting the exact same message on every channel. We get a diverse selection of information from the internet. We pretty much get one form of opinion from the television. Who was Peter Kreeft? I don't know. But here's what he said. So, control language and you control thought. Control thought and you control action. Control action and you control the world. So maybe political correctness is more about control than anything else. Anyways, there was another quote somebody said, the basic tool for the manipulation of reality is the manipulation of words. I'm going to say that again. The basic tool for the manipulation of reality is the manipulation of words. If you can control the meaning of words, you can control the people who use the words. Right? Anyways, that's just what I wanted to say about that. And it makes sense to me, because if you can, like for instance, my mother passed away last March, but I have her dictionary, her very, very old dictionary, hard-covered dictionary. The binding is taped together. It's so old. If you look up the meaning of certain words in that dictionary that are in our current vocabulary, you'll notice some changes. If you can get a hold of an old dictionary and look up the meaning of certain words that you'd like to know if they've changed over the decades, you're going to find they have changed. The meanings have changed. So where one generation would say one word and it would mean one thing, you can look 2 or 3 generations later and that same word does not mean the same thing to the younger generation, because they've been taught it means something different. And what eventually happens is the old generation dies off. They're no longer here. And whatever little tidbits of information they left to the next generation it won't be much anymore. People don't do it anymore. Not in the Western world anyways. Then they slowly forget what they were taught and they don't pass anything on to the third generation, the next generation. So pretty soon the next generation passes on all the new changes as was meant to happen. Completely orchestrated in brilliant ways. How to change history, shall we say. That's happened a lot. That's it for today. We'll carry this on another video, but for now, I wish you a wonderful day or evening. I hope you are loved, and I hope you love. And until next time, keep well.